Hi, it's Lee and welcome to a tour of my island Amethyst. So this island was the most recent one that I completed. It took me almost a year to finish since I literally just lost inspiration, but I eventually pulled it through at the end. It is a forestcore island with magical properties, not necessarily fairy core, but there is just that tiny hint of magic. So with the island name Amethyst, the accent color for this island is actually purple. No surprise there. Before we get started with the island tour, if you would like to see more Animal Crossing content from me, please subscribe so you know when I upload the next video. For anyone who wants to visit this island themselves, the DA is right there at the bottom. Now for this island, I really wanted to challenge myself to do a lot of terraforming. So as you can see, there's tons of cliffs and waterscaping. There is also a giant lake in the center that includes a home, which was one of the builds that I really wanted to include in the first place. However, this home isn't accessible and can only be seen through a viewing platform, which I will show later. Now for my villagers, we have Marshal, Rhonda, Cleo, Gwen, Annalisa, Fang, Diana, Genji, Mallary, and Kid. I unfortunately don't have the DLC, so all the villager homes here are just the default ones. Anyway, let's get started with the tour. Now, right off the bat, you can see the purple accents all around the area, and the magical elements with the star fragments and the glowing moss items. So for this entrance build specifically, I wanted to have cliffs surrounding a villager home, and I wanted there to be a clear opening that leads to the next area. I also wanted the entrance to feel a little bit more open, so I included this pond in the middle with a path circling it. Now, right here we have a little picnic spot next to the pond. We just have a bear relaxing with some snacks. You can also take a cute picture with the bear if you'd like. And over here we have Kid's home. I didn't really do anything too special for the decorations of his home, but you can think of him and the duck over here as being best friends. And then to the right over here we do have an incline that leads us to Nook's Cranny, but we'll save Nook's Cranny for the end of the tour. Now let's head on over to the next area, which you can tell by that signpost over there, is resident services. Where I'm standing right now, this is where you'll find the gifts that I've laid out for you. The gifts is literally just this entire outfit with the matcha donut, and if we come up here we can actually get a good view of resident services. Now from this viewpoint you can see Fang's house in the background, a duck pond on the left, and a glimpse of the boat rental on the right side. Okay, now let's get a better look at the build. So once again, here is the duck pond area. There are 3 ducks this time, and then you can imagine yourself feeding the ducks with these snacks. You can also sit down on the bench here and take a cute picture with the ducks if you'd like. Now coming over here, this is the boat rental area, and if you walk over here to the dock and go on picture mode, you can actually see a nice glimpse of the center island already. Okay, so for now, let's ignore that incline over there and then come back down here to this incline. Now this incline actually leads us to a nice little forest trail. And then down here, we have the campsite area. On the left side here, we have a nice little camping setup for the bears. Hello, Rhonda. And then here is the actual campsite tent. Now I don't really remember who I put in this tent, but you can use your imagination if you'd like. And then over here we have a nice little fairy pond, and we have a bear just chilling on the peninsula with a cup of coffee. Now going back here in the forest trail, we can actually climb this vine up here, and we are greeted with a nice little viewpoint of Fang's home. Now this is one of my favorite viewpoints just because there's so much going on. We have the sunken pond down there, the pumpkin farm to our left, and then Fang's home is just nicely surrounded with some trees in the background. Okay, coming back down here and then proceeding to the left side, we can also get a good viewpoint of this pumpkin farm by climbing up this vine. Now I knew I wanted to include a pumpkin farm, and I love that I used the purple wooden fencing because it really does give a good pop of color to contrast with the white pumpkins. And then over here we have just some other farming decorations like some barrels, the watering can, and some fillers over here on the side as well. We have another picnic area, and you can see down there is a nice hidden swinging bench which literally has no purpose other than to fill up space. And then right next to the picnic area is, as you've seen already, Fang's home. Now Fang's home, there isn't much going on in his yard, but I did just give him some laundry. You know, Fang, he's just a sweet little grandpa. And so crossing this bridge, we are heading to one of my favorite parts of this island, which is Mallary's butterfly garden. This is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do a purple island in the first place. I really wanted this area to be very floral and colorful. I also really love how full this area looks. Now some people might think it's too much, but I personally love like very full and overgrown islands. Now let's go back down here and walk around the area. As you can see, even on the sides and on the cliffs, it's just full with decorations. Next to Mallary's home, I did give her a nice little garden shed where she can keep her tools to tend for the butterfly garden. Now, crossing this bridge, we are greeted with 2 cute frogs and another bear with a cup of coffee. Or I guess it's tea. And this is the Zen area. Now, I really wanted to include this area because we have Genji and Annalisa. Now for Genji's home, he just has a nice little picnic area with some of his favorite food. And going down here, we have Annalisa's home. And Annalisa just runs a nice little onsen for the residents of this island. As you can see here, we have the spa vibes, and we have a nice little private bath, which is right next to Fang's home. And then from here, we can go up this incline, which leads us to a little land bridge moment. And we get a good preview of probably my favorite build on this entire island, which is the museum area. This was probably the build that took me the most time, but I really wanted to do a sunken museum build with pillars and butterflies in the background. Now I do want to give a quick shout out to Sparksby, who is my favorite Animal Crossing content creator. She's the one who inspired me with this build from her own fairy core island, Clover. She used the pillars and she placed the butterflies on top, and I really wanted to include that detail on my island as well. Now for this museum, it isn't accessible and it's really just your reviews, but that's okay because there's literally nothing in my museum anyway. I just really wanted to make this area feel magical, so I added some fairy circles and a rock garden down below. I also added some waterscaping just to enhance the magical vibes of this area. But honestly, I love how this build turned out. Now, let's keep walking and follow the land bridge. Now this trail, there's nothing special about this trail, but I think it's also a really nice view. And then going down this incline, this is the bunny trail. Here we have some bunnies just eating some pumpkins. And then you can find more bunnies leading us to the Able Sisters area. This wasn't intentional, but the dress on the window actually kind of fits the theme. I honestly never pay attention to the window whenever I upload my DAs, but this is definitely a nice touch. Now walking downwards, we can see a nice little frog pond, and climbing this vine, we can get a really nice view of Able Sisters and the background. Now I wanted something to be happening in the background, so I included those wind turbines, and I honestly really like how it turned out. If we take this incline, we head over to Marshall Sheep Farm. Now I really like this specific sheep item, so I wanted to include them on this island. As you can see, there are lots of areas where the sheep can just relax and chill, and they even have a pond to drink some water. For Marshal's house specifically, I just included some farming items just so he can take care of the sheep. If you come up here to where the incline starts, you can actually get a good view of this area as well. So down this incline, we are headed to the neighborhood. So over here on the left, we have Diana's home, and she just has a nice little outdoor picnic setup. On the right side, we have Cleo, who is actually running a little plant shop. Now walking down this pergola and the fountains, we are greeted with Gloria's house on the left. Now she just has a tiny little library set up here. And then if we go over to the right side, we are greeted with Gwen's home. Now Gwen lives right next to the fishing pond here, and going here we can get a good view of Gwen's home with the fishing pond in the frame. And now you probably already guessed it, but there's actually a viewing platform that you can use to see the whole neighborhood. You can see the very symmetrical design of the neighborhood with the pergola in the center, and there are also some flower gardens to the sides. Also, to enhance the very elegant vibes of the villagers who live here, I added some fountains to the front. And going back down and walking towards this incline, we are greeted with just a nice little duck next to a waterfall. Now up this incline, we are greeted with Nook's cranny. And for Nook's cranny, I wanted to include some horses and carts, as though the horses were delivering some packages over here. And you can actually get a decent view of Nook's cranny if you stand in this spot here. And now for the grand finale, I'm gonna take y'all to the viewing platform for the house in the middle of the lake. You might have already guessed it from the pathing, but you just climb up this vine here and go to the custom design on the ground. And here we are. You can see the resident rep just trapped walking back and forth, but ignore him for the purposes of this tour. Now I really wanted this area to look very, very natural and almost abandoned, so I just spread flowers everywhere. And with that, the island tour is completely done. I really hope that y'all enjoyed this island tour. This island was literally months of hard work, and I'm extremely happy with how it turned out. If this inspired you to do your own forest core or fairy core island, let me know in the comments. I'd love to read them all. Now there will be more Animal Crossing content coming in the future, including more island tours, so subscribe and stay tuned. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.